What if this moment has nothing to do with prediction and everything to do with recognition? Not who you will become, but who is quietly present within you right now. Before you decide anything, notice how your body responds. Not with thought, not with comparison, but with a subtle pull. Because some choices don't announce themselves loudly. They arrive softly, the way truth often does. You find yourself stepping into a bright, quiet room. The air feels light, almost luminous, carrying a faint scent of fresh flowers. The temperature is perfectly balanced, warm enough to comfort, cool enough to keep you aware. Nothing overwhelms you here. Nothing rushes you. The light settles gently, like morning sun through thin curtains. At the center of the room stands a simple white table. Upon it rest 4 bouquets. They don't compete. They don't demand. Each one seems to breathe at its own rhythm, carrying a distinct emotional tone. Color, texture, and presence form 4 separate inner landscapes. You don't need to analyze them. You only need to notice which one your attention keeps returning to. Flowers speak a language older than words. Carl Jung believed symbols bypass logic and move straight into the unconscious, revealing what we long for, what we lack, and what is quietly rising within us. The bouquet you feel drawn to is not decoration. It is a message. So don't search for meaning yet. Let your awareness soften. Which bouquet feels familiar, even if you don't know why? Which one makes your chest lift slightly, or your focus linger just a moment longer? And if you notice hesitation, ask yourself this: what is pulling me before I decide? The first bouquet glows with intensity. Its colors are vivid, alive, almost warm to look at, as if each petal carries a spark. It radiates energy rather than asking for attention. If this bouquet pulled you in, your inner world is far from quiet. This choice reflects a soul driven by movement and feeling. You are not someone meant to remain in the background. Even when you appear calm, something inside you is awake, alert, alive, searching for depth and experience. You feel life intensely. Joy doesn't pass lightly through you. Pain doesn't either. You don't move through the world halfway. You don't love halfway. You don't feel halfway. There is emotional courage in you, a willingness to engage with life fully rather than safely. You carry warmth that others sense immediately, even if they can't explain it. Your presence affects rooms. Conversations shift when you arrive, not because you try, but because your energy is honest. But this brightness is not performance, it is authenticity. You may have tried at times to soften yourself, to dim your intensity, to become easier to manage. It never lasts. Your inner fire always rises again. And if this bouquet resonated, ask yourself, where in my life am I being asked to shine instead of shrink? Because intensity, when honored, becomes inspiration. Now let your attention drift again. If the second bouquet drew you in, the soft, pastel arrangement that feels gentle rather than bright, your inner world carries a different kind of strength. This bouquet does not demand attention, it invites closeness. Your sensitivity is your compass. You notice what others miss: subtle shifts in tone, pauses in conversation, emotions hidden beneath ordinary words. You feel the atmosphere of a room the way others feel temperature. And without effort, people feel calmer around you. This is not weakness, it is emotional intelligence. You offer comfort not through advice, but through presence. You understand before explanations arrive. You listen without trying to fix. And because of this, others often lean on you, sometimes without realizing how much weight you carry. Your energy is soothing, grounding, sincere. You value authenticity over noise, connection over display. You choose carefully people, words, relationships, not because you fear closeness, but because you honor emotional truth. Yet sensitivity carries its own cost. Harshness affects you deeply. Emotional distance wounds quietly. You may withdraw at times, not because you don't care, but because your heart needs space to recover. And if this bouquet called to you, consider this: who has been caring for you, while you care for everyone else, because even the most gentle souls deserve gentleness in return. These first two bouquets reveal very different inner needs. One speaks of expression, the other of restoration. Neither is better. Neither is permanent. They simply reflect what is alive within you right now. And as you notice what's stirred inside you, ask yourself one more question. What does this choice say about what I need in this season of my life? In the next part, we will turn toward the remaining bouquets and the deeper truths they hold about freedom, transformation, and becoming. The room does not change as your awareness shifts. The light remains soft. The air remains still. Yet something inside you moves. After noticing the first two bouquets, your attention begins to drift again, not because you are searching, but because something else is ready to speak. Two bouquets remain, both quieter in their own way, both carrying depth that does not reveal itself at first glance. And if one of them feels heavier, more magnetic, ask yourself why. The third bouquet feels earthy, organic, almost untamed. Its colors are not arranged to impress. They feel natural, instinctive, as if they grew exactly where they were meant to. There is texture here, irregularity, a sense that this bouquet belongs to the ground rather than the table. If this bouquet drew you in, your soul carries a strong relationship with truth. You are not someone who thrives inside rigid structures or borrowed identities. You sense quickly when something is artificial, whether it is a role, a rule, or a relationship. And when something feels false, your body reacts before your mind explains it. You live by instinct more than instruction. This choice reflects a deep need for authenticity. You are drawn to what is real, textured, alive. You value experience over appearance, meaning over performance. While others may follow expectations, you quietly listen to your inner compass, even when it leads you away from the familiar. There is creativity in you, even if you have never named it that way. Not creativity as art alone, but as perception. You notice details others overlook. You sense beauty in imperfection. You bring warmth into spaces simply by being fully yourself. And yet, this freedom carries vulnerability. You may feel misunderstood at times, as if the world wants you to be more predictable, more contained, more easily defined. You may question whether your openness makes you too much or not enough, but the truth is simpler. Your honesty is your strength. You know how to change without losing yourself. You know how to adapt without becoming someone else. And if this bouquet resonated, ask yourself this: where in my life am I being called to return to what feels true, rather than what feels acceptable? Because your soul does not bloom under pressure, it blooms under honesty. Now one bouquet remains. The fourth arrangement carries deep, rich tones, dark florals layered with shadow and intensity. This bouquet does not soften the room, it grounds it. There is weight here, presence, a feeling that this bouquet holds stories rather than decoration. If this bouquet pulled you in, your inner world is deep. You are someone who feels beneath the surface. You sense what is hidden. You notice what others avoid. Your emotional landscape is layered, complex, and rarely revealed all at once. And because of this, you do not open yourself easily. You protect your inner life, not out of fear, but out of respect. This choice reflects emotional maturity born through experience. You have likely faced moments that reshaped you quietly. Loss, endings, realizations that did not announce themselves loudly. And instead of turning away, you went inward. There is strength in that. You are not afraid of intensity, in conversation, in emotion, in connection. You understand that real transformation happens in depth, not in distraction. Where others avoid discomfort, you explore it. But depth also carries weight. You may carry more than you show. Others may mistake your calm for distance, your silence for detachment. And if this bouquet resonated, consider this: who sees the part of you that carries everything so steadily? Because even strong souls need to be held. This bouquet symbolizes transformation. Not the dramatic kind, but the quiet, alchemical kind. The kind that changes you slowly, permanently from the inside out. And now, step back. Look at all four bouquets together. Each one reflected an inner state, Expression, gentleness, authenticity, depth, none of them define you forever. They reflect where your energy is concentrated now. At another time in your life, a different bouquet may have spoken louder, and that is not contradiction. It is evolution. So ask yourself one final question: what does my choice say about what I am ready to honor right now? Because your soul did not choose randomly. It recognized itself. If something in this reflection stayed with you, even quietly, don't move past it too quickly. Real insight rarely arrives with noise. It lingers, asking to be felt before it is understood. You're welcome to share which bouquet resonated with you. Not to justify it, not to analyze it, simply to acknowledge it. Sometimes naming a truth is enough to begin living it more honestly. If you value spaces that respect depth, emotional intelligence, and real psychological reflection, consider subscribing. Not for entertainment and not for quick answers, but for continuity. For ongoing moments of self-awareness that help you recognize yourself more clearly over time. Because growth is not about changing who you are. It's about understanding yourself well enough to choose with clarity, respond with intention, and live with greater alignment. And that kind of understanding begins with listening, the way you just did.